Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. John here, Jared there, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us here. And it is a pretty busy show on a bunch of different fronts. We got the news of the AM. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday, so whatever's on your mind, and it traditionally, as always, does not have to be involving the sport of soccer when it comes to Wall Pass Wednesday. That's the beauty of Wall Pass Wednesday. Whatever is on your mind, we don't care. So Tyler Pilgrim joining us at 9:15. We'll discuss what's going on. And Jarrett, the beauty of, and it's a blessing, the beauty of this time of year is that you get rumors, you get stuff, you get it from all over the place. It is somebody's going, somebody's coming, someone said something, and it's all over the place. And this is the constant reminder that we have to look at, folks. Check your sources, check your sources, check your sources.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, one of the things with checking our sources too is also checking, like, this is your semi-monthly reminder that follower count doesn't count. It doesn't justify a source. Like, if it's a
Right.
fan page from South America has 90,000 people following it, doesn't mean it's not just a retweeting account that has generated a lot of following clout through dubious or undubious means. Like, just because someone has 90,000 followers, that has to be right. It doesn't. It doesn't, though. That's the thing, man. It doesn't have to be right. There's nothing written in the laws of man nor God that says it has to be right. Um, your tiers at this point, just kind of hang on to them, run through the rosary if you need to, just do your thing, because they are going to be belying these rumors. The latest one last night was, that Thiago Almada is going to go to Brazil and would not play with the Olympic team, which seems insane. I believe it's also been reported elsewhere that he will play with the Olympic team. God
Correct.
only knows. God only knows right now. There's just, yeah, man. There's no way to pin all this down. Don't try. I am begging you all to just maintain what sanity you have left and just cling to it. Thiago Almada sweepstakes continues. Yeah, man, it's weird because the total is looking like 20 million, which is less than you expected. It's less than you hoped. But at this point, if he's gonna go, if he wants to go, okay.
Mm-hmm.
To Tom's point, even Prime sources get it wrong. They do. You have a better batting average with them. If you throw them up at the plate, you're gonna have a better batting average than, like, a fan site. But yeah, no, you're correct. Absolutely. Um, but if this ends up being like 20 million, then slap on a sell-on clause, shake his hand, and if he wants to go, this whole thing's been, like, it feels like it's been bantered around in the media for going on 8 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it I have questions about Tiago's agent. Now, this is not like I have questions about Tiago's agent because I feel like Atlanta was wrong. No, not that at all.
Yeah.
I have questions because, like, the stuff that gets leaked just feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of feels like almost like we're playing hardball and we didn't know we were playing hardball. Like, I'm sorry. Are you, like, are you indirectly trying to force a move here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no. Everybody knows he's going at some point. And credit to Tiago, he says all the right things in the media, which I imagine pisses off a number of people because you find the folks on the dead bird who are like apoplectic about
Mm-hmm.
Tiago, like, oh, he's just saying the right things. But yes, correct, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
He's gonna say the right things because that's his job. It's the way to keep, like, to keep peace, not rile people up, keep everybody on an even keel. Um, Man, yeah, I don't know when exactly you get this done. I think Doug put out the article yesterday asking if Saturday will be his last game for Land United. I have no idea.
No clue.
Brazil's window doesn't open until July.
Yeah.
Atlanta's window, MLS's window doesn't open until July.
Yeah,
Which sucks.
the Premier League window is open. The French window doesn't open until the 1st. And Brazil's window is the last of the 3. I think it's in like the July 7th or something like that. So in order,
opens in July. Whatever.
yeah. So I mean,
8th of July,
technically,
actually.
yeah. So I mean, technically, if you want to sit here and navigate the windows, you could, in theory, make him a prop. And this is, along the same lines of your boy, our Lord and Savior Tati Castellanos, as a part of City Football Group, as an entity. He could be shifted from one place to another. Tiago could be experiencing the same thing under Eagle Football Group, where he is transferred to Lyon for whatever price tag, but loaned to Botafogo. Or, literally, you could sit there, and it is the beauty of the multi-club model. If you're the owner of said multi-club model, where you could sit there and literally you could take it's 3-card Monty, and it's taking it's like, all right, so which card is the 9 of spades, and you sit there and you're shifting them on the table, and then you point. And it's like, okay, well, if I want him here, I could have him here, and I could have him here. So multi-club model, he could be party transferred to Lyon, loaned to Botafogo. He could be transferred to Crystal Palace, loaned to Lyon. I mean, literally, it's like, okay, what part of John Texter's universe would it be able to navigate toward, and then you just shift him from there? This would not be something that is a stumbling block of biblical proportion.
Yeah, man. So like, it's funny because I saw, I think it's the Durham Bulls are getting sold.
Really?
I think so. And it's like there's one group that's buying up a bunch of minor league teams, which doesn't raise red flags at all.
Yes, I remember this group. Yes.
In the really sketchy BS that is minor league baseball, never mind the fact that Congress had the balls and the strength to pass and I'm not kidding you, Protecting America's Pastime Act, which basically what it did is it made sure that minor league baseballs were exempt from minimum wage requirements, so you can pay minor league baseball players below minimum wage. I don't know, go fight them with a bat or something. But the multi-club model is just so damn annoying and sketchy, man. Like, we know the City Football Group one at this point. It's like you just kind of accept. It's like City Football Group feels like the Empire in Star Wars. Like, yeah, they're an evil empire.
So
there.
does that. Who does that make Emperor Palpatine? That's the big question in all of this.
Somebody with more oil money than God. I don't know, but it already feels like you've got them as like, yeah, okay, the Empire's there. There's like they're just there. They're annoying. They're overbearing on everything, and they've made England into an inevitability. I also will wager that part of that is also the fact that all the other English teams keep spitting the bit. Every season, we end up in a stretch run in March where, so-and-so has a great shot at the title. They just have to take care of these 5 games. 4 of them are against teams near the relegation line to lose to them.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, Manchester City will just, like, grind out wins and draws. And it feels like less often City is running away with it. So much as, like, we end up looking like, well, Arsenal had a chance there. And they blew a tire in turn 4.
Yeah.
Or like their Dale Earnhardt running out of gas on the back straightaway, and Derek Cope is going to come through and win.
Or Denny Hamlin thinks he's got the race won at Dover, and Ross Chastain decides he's going to hug the wall and just video game his way to a finish to get into the playoff.
To be fair, Ross Chastain didn't win that race, but he did jump like 15 spots in the process. And I'm pretty sure NASCAR changed the rules after that.
They did. They absolutely did. Tyler's now in. Check out the new office space.
Hola. Can you hear me?
Wow. Yeah. They put you in a closet.
Yeah. Hey, but it's soundproof. It's soundproof.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh. Well, mostly. I mean, I'm not like NASA soundproofing anything, but you shouldn't be able to hear children running down the hallway or explosions on the other end of the house. What's
Oh,
up?
but
That's
that's
part
part
of the
of
charm, sir.
yeah.
It is. It is. But
Actually,
had enough of that charm for a while.
Cesar Luis Merlo tweeted like 30 seconds ago.
Oh, he did?
Confirmed. Thiago Almada will play for Botafogo. His pass was purchased by the Eagle Football Group for around $20 million from Atlanta United. The Argentine in principle will be in Brazil until December. Then he will go to Leon.
Well, damn it. He beat me to the breaking news sounder.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I've done my job here.
So, all right. So, fine. I'm going to rewind it, and we're just going to go ahead and do it this way all over again. And we do this under the auspice of alleged breaking news because obviously nothing has come out from the club. But Cesar Luis Merlo confirms Thiago is going to play for Botafogo. Pass purchased by Eagle Football Group for around 20. Argentine in principle in Brazil till December, then go to Lyon. Much like what Jarrett just said. So, like I said, it's there. It's out there, you know. And so we'll keep an eye on it. So, Jarrett, go for it.
No, nothing about a sell on, but you got to imagine there's going to be.
Yeah.
You're selling him for 20. I imagine there's going to be a
20
very
to 25.
nice sell on here.
Yeah. Well, and so all of this started, by the way, all of this started kind of pseudo 2 days ago, where you've got all of your tier one sourcing and they're sitting there saying, yeah, it's happening and all this kind of stuff. And so then John Texter, the head of Eagle Football Holdings, decides to answer a question on social media. And so he goes on YouTube and saith the following, courtesy of YouTube, our own selves.
Thiago, hope you're doing well down in Brazil. I'm in London, just trying to get some work done. Anyway, just wanted to let you know the story. Cesar Merlo, sure he's a nice guy, just has it wrong. I haven't made the offer yet. I think a lot of journalists are trying to get out in front of the story. Maybe they anticipate that we're going to get a deal done. Certainly we love the player. We've had a good time talking to his family. But we're doing this the right way. I've got a good relationship with the leadership at Atlanta United. We wouldn't go in through the back door. We'll go in through the front door. I plan on sending the offer to them directly this morning and giving their CEO a call. That's where we're at. We have no idea sort of what the terms of the deal might be, but we're just presenting it to him today. So that's it. That's the truth. We love the athlete. We respect the club. He's still a player for an MLS team up in the U.S., and these stories just shouldn't get ahead of themselves. We hope to get it done, but, that's up to Atlanta. So anyway, just wanted to clarify that for you. There's a lot of false reporting out there. I'm sorry about that, but that's just life these days. Anyway, good talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, Thiago, hope you're doing well down in Brazil.
Was me on repeat. But
You remember what I said a minute ago about how his agent just. I have questions about his agent.
Yeah.
Because I just at this point I assume that like the leak you got 45 minutes before Saturday night's game.
Yeah.
I assume it's coming from his agent's side.
Yeah. I mean, the Tyler, the one thing that we have always learned, and I've got Garth Lagerway from Dukes and Bell from yesterday as a follow-up here coming up in just a little bit. What we have learned in our journalistic endeavors in the past is it is not just what is said, but what isn't said, and not by who says it, but who doesn't say it. Because think of college football coaches who have mega agents, aka guys like Jimmy Sexton, and you have an opening. College football coach says, no, I have not had a discussion with blank about their job opening. Unless, of course, you're Schlossnagel, apparently, at Texas A&M. But then, it's once again, it's what isn't said and by whom it isn't said by to end a sentence in a preposition in these kinds of cases.
Yeah. And also, like, you have to take, these are all clues, right? Like, this stuff doesn't just happen. You don't have guys like Merlo and Fabrizio and everybody saying stuff like this for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has to understand too, like from a club perspective and knowing Atlanta, they're not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, we're talking with them."
You don't negotiate in public. You don't do.
It's just not going to happen. Period. And so that doesn't make anybody on Atlanta's side a liar or being untruthful or anything like that. But they're also not going to come out and just let you know that, oh yeah, we're in contact with John Textor and we're trying to figure out, how to make it work. It's not going to happen. Now, the thing is, like, this is like a really complicated transfer scenario, but mostly because of Botafogo and the Eagle Football Group and all that. At the end of the day, Atlanta just wants to get something fair for Thiago. And I think the less Garth says to the media and in general, the better. And so, yeah, I just, obviously every time something like this comes around, people are going to go up and down on, give their opinions and all, which is great. But I don't think it's fair to sit there and say that one side wasn't telling the truth, one side's being false, anything else, because there's truth in all of it, but there's also business that has to be considered. And you're just not going to go and conduct business out in the public unless your name is John Textor. Then you just get on the phone and do it.
Well, and there are times where negotiations, and it's more often than not, negotiations for players and player transfers falls into the none ya file. None ya damn business.
Exactly.
And that's you don't want to negotiate in public and sit there and say, well, yeah, we're looking for, term X. We're looking for this price tag. Because then what you do is you set yourself up in the marketplace. Okay, so they've got a player that is in high demand, and they're only looking for this amount, or they're overlooking for this amount. You negotiate in public, you either undercut yourself in the public sphere, or you sit there and it's like everybody doesn't want to deal with you because you're being completely and totally unreasonable in the public sphere. You want to make sure that everything's behind closed doors. Everybody who's important in the business of sports knows who you are as a negotiator. The last thing you need to do is sit there and say, yeah, we're gonna sit on the player and we're gonna sit there and everything's fine and we're not at any cut. No, you don't do that because your rep is at stake, and Atlanta United has established itself for a solid reputation in the business world when it comes to negotiating for player transfers. Hey, Atlanta United, yeah, they're stand-up dudes. You set that reputation going forward, people want to talk to you. You don't want to sit there and say, yeah, they're a bunch of loudmouths, don't go over there, because players talk, agents talk, owners talk. And that's a bad combination if you've got all three saying negative stuff about you.
Yeah, and then you add in the price tag as well, right? Like, in any negotiation, you don't ever let the other side know like what your bare minimum is or your max or whatever, right? Like you have to go into it holding some cards close to your chest. That's just the way negotiations are. And so, I mean, look, if I'm Atlanta, I'm doing the exact same thing. Like, I'm not telling anybody what I'm doing. I'm not telling anybody what's going on. And, we've seen numbers over the past year-ish of 25 million, 30 million, whatever. That might have been obviously what they would love to get, but they're probably okay accepting 20 million because 20 million is no small fish in the pond when it comes to MLS transfers. Like, I think everybody's caught up on it could have been 30 or it could have been 25 because it's Thiago Almada. And that may be true, but 20 million is a freaking lot of money. And you're still making money on
probably a sell on that's attached.
Yeah, exactly.
To, so
exactly.
If it's 20, you're looking at a massive sell on, Jarrett, probably in the neighborhood of 20 to 25%. So that would get you to your 25. And it would also keep you in line for any, because if you think about it, Jarrett, what? 2 or 3 more contracts in the history of Thiago Almada?
At least.
And so you're looking at
still a kid.
Yeah, and so you're looking. Yeah, unless you maybe sign the 8-year deal with Chelsea and you're Mihajlo Mudryk, but the sell on,
you can get it.
Yeah, and so you continue to sit there, and it's like, 3 contracts are left on the line. You get the sell on for Thiago, and then everything's cool because of those contracts that come down the line. So you're thinking about this. This is Vulcan chess. This is not checkers that you're playing here when it comes to player negotiations and get your bottom.
I don't even know if it's that complicated. Like, he wants to go ahead and move. Okay, we got an offer for a deal that is profit with a sell on. he's good with it. We're good with it. Let's go into the summer market to spend money. Okay, great. Here you go. Thanks for everything, bud. Whether or not his last game is Saturday, whether or not he plays Saturday or however many the hell games he plays going forward, I don't know. You also, again, the window is not open for anybody in relation to Brazil or the United States. So you just see what's going to happen. You wait for the paperwork to get done, and he's going to conduct business as a player the way he has, which is to go out there and play despite rumors, because that's what his job is. That's what he has to do. I'm sure it's not easy to be able to compartmentalize everything the way that pro athletes do, but it is a skill you have to do that job. It's one of the reasons you have so many zeros at the end of that paycheck.
I wonder too, with the sell on, again, assuming there is one, I think it would be wild if there wasn't, or if it was low.
I'd be amazed if there's not.
Yeah. That would be malpractice, I think. But it's if so, it's almost as if Eagle Football Group and John Texter, you're kind of getting a gimme out of it, right? Because they already have it planned out apparently for him to go to Brazil and then go over to Lyon, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
If the sell on clause is, it doesn't probably dictate whether he has to move out of that football group. I think it's going to be, he goes to Botafogo and then goes to, on whatever kind of paper trail that they're trying to cook up, go over to Lyon, but that's still a transaction. And so Atlanta could be coming out with obviously the 20 million plus a very quick sell on fee. And then I have no doubts that Thiago would do well in France. And then, from there, couple of years maybe, and then he moves on to something bigger and better, hopefully. Yeah.
And so I think it looks like Merlo is adding upon adding here. And so, all right. So principal, Brazil till December, then move to Lyon. So that's what you're staring at with Thiago right now. And yesterday, as a part of the discussion, Garth was on 92.9 The Game, and Dukes and Bell they had questions, and so here was part of Garth's discussion. It was a good 10-minute discussion. Recommend that you go to 929thegame.com, the Odyssey app, download all the stuff. So here's part of Garth's conversation with Dukes and Bell yesterday about the whole thing.
It's the same concept, right? Look, we're actively trying to replace Giacomakis as we speak. We obviously the questions around Almada have been here certainly since I've been here. So we've been working on that replacement as well. So look, those conversations are fluid, they're ongoing. But we got some really interesting potential guys, and those things don't become real until you transfer the players. That's one of the reasons was that we were willing to do the Giacomakis deal we did. Was now that clears the decks, and you can go to all these prospective forwards and say, hey, we got a position available. So that empowers us there in that, and we're really looking to see if we can bring in an impactful player in that spot.
You're looking. We were doing the math. You're looking that if, and because this is nothing official from Atlanta's end, we will use the word if. If Thiago is transferred to Eagle Football Holdings, you're probably looking at the neighborhood of $28 million to play with. And last time I checked, Tyler, that ain't chump change when you're chasing after playmakers and when you're chasing after folks at the point of the spear to help put the ball in the back of the net. You will have, in theory, a lot of capital to play with, 8 figures to the left of the decimal place when you're trying to find your replacements.
And the 2 DP spots, right? I mean, I know it goes without saying, but there's obviously the discourse of, do they wait until a coach is in? Do they go ahead and fill up both spots now and take advantage of it now? I mean, I think you can't wait on at least one of them. I think you have to find, because that's the thing. You should be able to go out and find a replacement for either one of them that's going to make sense right now and will also make sense regardless of the coach that you bring in. You should be not piece parting things together. You should be planning, long term. Look, if you bring in a guy that doesn't fit potentially a handful of coaches in the future, you don't need to interview that handful of coaches in the future.
Yeah.
You have to have an idea of who your coach, or at least this type of coach that you're going to have eventually. I understand maybe holding off on one of the DP spots and maybe, letting that cook for a little bit. I totally get that. But I think you have to bring in a playmaker of some sort pretty quickly because this season's not over yet. And whether it's Rob staying along, that's great, or they bring in somebody else. You have to start doing this now. But I mean, I've been saying this for every time we talk about a big transfer for Atlanta. Garth is not the type of guy that is going to wait until, oh no, we sold somebody to go look for somebody. He has
Garth and Carlos. Yeah, they don't play around.
Yeah, absolutely. They have like a Death Note list of names ongoing, right? That says, all right, well, if this happens, these are some players that we're going to start looking at. I guarantee it. You don't. It's irresponsible to go out and try to make these last minute kind of knee jerk reaction type moves. They've known things are going to be happening. They've known there's interest for a long time, not just in Almada, but with Giakoumakis too. So, those wheels are already in motion, I'm sure. And I think it's a matter of time before you start hearing about a replacement for at least one of them.
Yeah. And the picture came out yesterday. It looked like Gigi was wearing the garter of KT tape on his right leg when he was going to practice yesterday. I mean, Jarrett, you don't do business successfully if you wait for Act A to be completed and then start in Act B.
We have this conversation every time there's a transfer window. I feel like I'm going insane because we do this conversation. We do this dance every time. And then it's always the question of, oh, man, now you have to go find somebody. They're already looking.
They've been
No
fine.
one is that thick. I promise. But we'll say the same thing we say every window.
Yes. No.
It depends on what team you are too, maybe.
Yeah, and if you want to spend money versus can't spend money, then how do you do these kinds of things? It's amazing what happens, say, in a place like Colorado when I don't know, you actually spend money and bring players in.
Exactly.
Who knew that? Who knew that happened?
I know, it's kind of crazy. Now, like, obviously, don't be Chelsea. Like put the money where it needs to go. But like, it's again, Atlanta they don't have an issue with money. I know we always say that, and I feel like I'm like the little nephew that's picking out of Uncle Arthur's pocket saying that, but like they have money, right? Like they have money to play around with, regardless of if you sold Almada. And by money, I just mean in general. I don't mean like salary cap.
Yeah.
But now you do have space that you can use, and also you're making a lot of money on this particular sale if it goes through. So, I mean, yeah, like shoot big, but shoot for somebody that's going to fit the team.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's like you want to bring in Zlatan, something Zlatan-esque where it's just like, yeah, bring
want
him
somebody who's going to win trophies.
Exactly.
But he conquered Major League Soccer, Jarrett.
Zlatan can kiss my ass.
I agree with you.
The other piece of I will probably be circling through Atlanta United as part of the conversation this morning, but the other piece of broken news that came out this morning, Lizzie Bescherano mentions that, and it happened, it's like she releases the story just before we go on the air. It's like, can you do it like while we're on the air instead of just beforehand? We have a rundown, and then most of the time the rundown gets wadded up and thrown in a corner. MLS plans to take a break during the 26th season to accommodate the World Cup in order to avoid incomplete rosters throughout the duration of the competition. Length of pause remains undetermined, but the league agreed it was needed to navigate the calendar. Brad Purcell, Senior VP of MLS Game Schedule Management, God, that's two sides of a business card, provided insight into the planning process for the upcoming season. Quote, for the World Cup in 26, we will take a break. Writes down, I need the Ross Geller drop. Ross Geller drop ad. Yeah, so I've got to add that. MLS will pause during the competition, but the length of that break is to be determined. But given the size and scope of the 26 World Cup and being in North America, that is one tournament we will take a break for. End quote. Continue paragraph. We have an ongoing dialogue with our clubs about this challenge that we face year to year during FIFA windows and international competitions, so it's something we discuss. We're looking ahead to 25, 26, and 27 to consider and make adjustments to our schedules so we don't lose quite as many players to these competitions that conflict with our season. Okay.
So how do you balance? Are you going to start earlier? Are you going to drag this later? Are you going to throw more midweek games in?
Do you do the Gary Bettman hold Do you do the Olympic hold like they did the National Hockey League?
I wonder, and
freeze the
man,
season.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize ahead in advance.
No worries.
For
We
what's
got
about
time.
to happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to lean on Open Cup even harder now to not do it. Because
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I think you not that they're looking for any excuse to kind of knock that tournament out, but look, I mean, they always go back to the schedule fixture congestion type argument, and it's irritating because Open Cup adds a handful of games at the most. I do think it's funny because they say the wording was for this tournament, as if the World Cup isn't the freaking biggest tournament in the world, but yet like they're still going to have the other ones.
Well, Purcell said Leagues Cup will remain a priority during 26. Officials may introduce changes or modifications to the tournament to adjust to the necessary calendar. Quote, I don't think we'll pause Leagues Cup, but we'll have to adjust our calendar to be able to accommodate everything. And Leagues Cup is obviously a new but very exciting competition that we and our partners in Mexico want to maintain. There may even be adjustments or modifications, but it is a competition we plan to move forward with, end quote.
I have an idea. If they want to keep it all the same way. I mean, this is not my number one idea, but I know trying to get them to do anything significant with Leagues Cup is going to be like pulling teeth. So maybe you just have every team play just the Eastern Conference if they're in the Eastern Conference, shorten the season a little bit, and then make it a true East versus West for MLS Cup. And don't worry about any of the intermingling of East and West matches. But you shorten a few games right there, and you don't significantly change any. I mean, I guess that is a significant change, but you don't have to like redraw the entire board to figure out a way to make it work.
Oh, come on now.
Of course, that's part of the fun.
You've got to redraw the entire board.
Yeah, you could just do East play home and away against the teams in the East. Maybe add a third game that alternates every other year for your quote unquote rivalries. So like Atlanta would play. This year, Atlanta would play 2 home games against Orlando, 1 in Orlando. Next year, Atlanta would play 2 games in Orlando, 1 at home. Do that. If we're going to really start going down a dark path of weird schedule stuff, first off, I'm going to need to consult with my lawyer, Nick Alifi, after this conversation. Introduce a variant of the Scottish split, please.
Oh, God.
So once you're done with those games, top 6 teams in the East I have to play each other. So you get these high stakes games leading up to that like give them like a series of games between the top 6 in the East where they have to play each other and fight it out. And then after those games are done and after the blood is shed, then you have your standings for the playoffs and you go one off.
See, this is what happens when you have a massive Scottish fan that is attached to Major League Soccer. And KFC, Jason, Jarrett trying to renew things that annoyed Jason.
Hey man, look, the split is fun because what you end up with at the end of the season is 8 games between teams that are all crunched together in the standings. So every game has some significance.
Uh-huh.
Like every game is like, even if it's 1 versus 6, even if it's like 3 versus 5, every game is going to impact how those standings shake out. Yeah, then do a one-off in the playoff, then go beat East versus West.
Oh boy.
Or you have a year between now and that year. How about you shorten up 2025 a little bit, pull, MLS Cup back to the beginning of November, if you can make it work, or end of October even, and then just start 2026 in January, early January.
Well, I mean, and Ricky touched on it too, man. Like, because I feel like we have this. I feel like there's never really true momentum behind the conversation. But to your point there, I mean, what if it's a harder shift than what you're talking about, and you start shifting the calendar hard away from what you've got?
What would your big television partner have to say about this? Would
No.
they base it? And so then I think that's the end of the discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's always the argument, right? Is you're going to have to deal with other sports, and right now, at least MLS gets a period of the year where it's just them.
Yeah.
So I agree that you're going to have to get creative with a lot of people involved to significantly change anything, but you have to change something. You can't expect to go into 2026. First of all, I thought maybe this was just me assuming and trying to make common sense out of things, but I thought we already knew that we were taking a break for the World Cup. Like, that needed to happen, period. So I don't know, but you do have to figure out a way to let that happen and play out the way it needs to without MLS trying to fit stuff in during that time. But MLS needs to step back a little bit with some of these international breaks regardless. I don't know. There's really no easy answer to the question though, but they've got to get creative with it.
Tom Russo is suggesting apertura clausura, split the season into two, August to mid-December, March to early June. And I mean, that would make some sense. And
Yeah.
Ricky's like, no way they should play during the World Cup. Oh, absolutely not. No. Because then you're pulling eyeballs away from your main domestic league when an international competition is going on in that same geographic footprint. So no, you don't want to shoot yourself off at the knee just to continue to have your domestic league playing. No, you're gonna take a break of some description when the world comes to your hemisphere.
Especially considering you're going to have to schedule around it because they'll be using your stadium.
Right. It's not like you have another option.
What are you going to do? Where are you going to put them all?
Right.
You're going to move the MLS games?
Yeah, Atlanta's going to go play at the Fraction.
What are you going to do? Play at the Fraction? Play in Phillips Arena?
Bobby Dodd it is.
There you go.
It is, buddy.
There it is, man. That's hey, they've renovated to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's yeah. You can, let's see. So if we carry this, so Houston would be fine. They'd be playing at Hell in a Shell because NRG, NRG would, yeah, there you go. You're going to move to NRG and let everybody just sit there and go, hey, look, FC Dallas will still be playing at Toyota. But yeah, there will be a couple of instances where your venue will be used, and you just go to a secondary venue or something, Yeah, so Atlanta goes to Bobby Dodd during the World Cup. No, in front of a crowd of like 12 people.
Right.
So no, it's it is evolved into a Walpassian Wednesday morning of biblical proportions because you have someone talking to Cesar Luis Merlo, not named Atlanta United, saying that a deal is a deal. And, we've got that. We've got World Cup. We have all of these things going on. And we haven't even had the chance to talk to Tyler about Atlanta United yet specifically. We've gone into this show a half an hour with Tyler, and we've yet to discuss Atlanta United specifically with the man.
Hey, I'm here for all soccer related conversation. So.
No, that's well. I mean, that's why
good because the twos are back on tonight.
Yes,
they are
for the first time in 3 weeks because MLS Next Pro doesn't know what a calendar is.
No,
yeah, speaking of calendars,
yeah. By the way, that's a 7:03 kick pregame show, a little before 7, so I'm guessing like a quarter till or something like that. And that's at our Mixler site, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Jason will be on the call for that. And then on Sunday, I will have the call. Jason's going to be with the UPSL final, so I will be on the network with the call with Atlanta United 2 and Messi and Friends 2. And that kick is at 6, so pregame shows at 5:45 here on the network, SDH Network, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and where else you like to listen to our stuff. Rob Valentino is continuing to make things happen as the players, Rob sits there and says, go, players do. Because if Rob did something, that'd be interesting because I don't know if we have a roster spot for Rob Valentino. They go to St. Louis.
Might in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, really. 2 matches since the last time we talked, and it was the ridiculousness of DC, which really could have been on MTV at like 11 o'clock at night and been its own episode. The home of the DC Defenders looking like it got chewed up, spit out, and somebody at Pike's Nurseries would need to be held responsible for it. And so you get the result there in DC, and then you turn around, no Tiago, and you end up sharing a point with all caps. So in the last week, sir, your observations about what's been going on with Atlanta United specifically.
I can't believe that's a week. That was a lot. And you even mentioned Copa America.
No.
This has been
Or
a crazy week.
or the Euros. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done nothing. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, as far as Atlanta United's concerned, you're getting a little bit more out of the guys. I'm not going to sit here and try to be the guy that pinpoints what exactly it is, but I do think I keep using this word. Pragmatic is maybe the word of the week. I think you're seeing Rob roll out a lineup that makes sense for the type of team that they're playing against. And I'm not saying that you need to completely turn away from having an identity as a football team. You do. You have to have an identity. But I do think there is room, especially in MLS, especially when you're traveling, 800 miles just for an away match, a close away match.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have to be a little more flexible than you maybe could be in other leagues. So I think that's one thing that Rob's doing right. And, we all know how firm he is, how much the players like him. I'm not going to put all this on the coaching staff. I think they definitely deserve credit for sure because they've gotten, 4 points on the road, especially on such a short turn, is amazing. So, but you got to give the players credit for digging deep and pulling themselves out of the funk that they were in with, the 2 months of bad results. And then of course the coaching change and everything else that takes a lot mentally. So you've now gone and you've shown that you can do it away. Now you got to get back home and do the thing at home again.
Because you've got to do the thing. And I mean, that's the t-shirt. Do the
Got
thing.
to do the thing.
Got to do the thing. So, I mean, Jarrett, literally having to take it a topic at a time. This, you look at this bunch, and this has been a choose your twos, color your adventure. And literally, if you took two of the younger players, I'm waiting for Tyler to finish his sip there with his coffee mug. If you took two players and added them together, you'd end up with one Dax McCarty. That's what you're looking at here. You've got a 19-year-old and 18-year-old, part of the Fab Five that have gotten minutes. And you add them together, you get a 37-year-old in Dax McCarty. But, I mean, it has been totally reinforcing what we knew about Noah, reinforcing what we knew about Efra, reinforcing what we knew about Jay Fortune, reinforcing what we know about Luke Brennan. And Cool Hand Luke absolutely nutmegging Franco Escobar and leaving him a couple days back when he went zooming past him in that particular move. And then Caleb, who's been there for a couple of years. But last time out, it was once again putting Jay Fortune front and center and going, hey, look, but it's like, yeah, we knew this, but he got to show it on a straight up MLS platform where everybody got to see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kids have been answering the bell repeatedly now. At this point, it's not news. Now, and mostly because I am running out of the patience to deal with discussing the twos at any given moment in time, mostly because people online are just mad about the twos in general. But you're putting guys in there who are producing. Noah Cobb, Efrain Morales, Jay Fortune's been outstanding. To the point where, you want to have a conflict. Let's start a dialogue. Because I have to leave soon, and I kind of like setting things on fire as I walk out of the room.
I'm shocked.
When Bartosz Schließ comes back,
yeah,
and we start talking about rotating that midfield,
yeah,
tell me why it shouldn't be Tristan Muyamba fighting harder for minutes right now than Jay Fortune.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
You go back and watch that St. Louis game.
Yeah.
Jay was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Jay was man of the match for me.
Oh, yeah, man. He was amazing. Tristan has been incredibly up and down, which is frustrating speaking just for me. It's frustrating because we know he's shown you what he can be.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about what you did. I'm worried about what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when Schleich comes back, I think it should be Jay who is not as worried about minutes. You got to go to Tristan and be like, hey, I got our Polish international midfielder back. Y'all are all going to be fighting for minutes, and that includes you. You got to step up.
Yeah. And it can't be one of these where it takes Tristan a while to get into the rhythm of a match. It seems like sometimes it takes a little while for that engine to turn over, and especially on the road where you don't want to fall behind early, you can't afford to have those kind of moments where, see, he set it on fire and he left.
He did it.
But you can't have moments. You've got to be on from, first whistle. You can't just be warming up to get into a match.
And that's something that I'm sure the coaching staff has identified, right? Like if everybody else sees it, I'm sure they see it too. And yeah, it's got to be a conversation that has to be had. The good thing is, I think Rob Valentino is the type of coach that's not going to mince words when it comes to saying
he's not going to ish around. No.
Yeah. You tell him like, look, get your crap together. You need to come out locked in from literally the opening whistle and stay that way. And you now have the kid, like Jarrett was saying, you have the kid and the other guys back there with the drive and the hunger to back it up and put a little pressure, because we always say it, healthy competition, right, is what drives everything. You have to have that. I mean, it's helped the goalkeeper position this year. I would argue it's helped the striker position this year. The wingers maybe to be determined.
Yeah.
But absolutely, like the midfield, it's when it's good, it's really, really good. But then again, like you said, when you either don't start off the match the way you want on the front foot, or you kind of do this up and down roller coaster thing throughout a match, it makes it very difficult for anybody else on the team to get into a rhythm. It has to start with the midfield. They dictate the tempo. So, yeah, I mean, Dax McCarty has looked great every time he's been on the pitch. Is he the most athletic anymore? No, but he's still got it in him. But he's got the IQ, and then you have Derek Williams behind him, and they help the young guys, I think, stay solidified. Mm-hmm. Jay Fortune is athletic and is playing out of his mind. Muyumba, I mean, he's got it. Like Garrett said, he's got it, but it's got to be all the time. And yeah, I would not be shocked, nor would I be mad if you come out in the next couple of games and you see Jay starting over him like maybe not this weekend because Slish is not quite back yet, but overall, absolutely. I'm not going to be upset at that.
And with Toronto coming to town, you don't know which Toronto you're going to get. Hopefully, if you're a fan of Atlanta United, you want the one that has been around for the last 5 matches, if not the last 6.
Yeah.
Not the one that was involved in the 7-goal shootout with FC Cincinnati. And FC Cincinnati is another issue entirely, considering that Miazga's out for an extended period of time. Hagland is gone for the season because of a broken fibula. I have done that. That is not fun. That's at least 8 weeks in a cast and then rehab. I had a tib fib. It was a fracture when I was in high school. Yeah, it was 4 weeks in a cast. Doc said, no, it's another 4. So it was 8. And then you've got the rehab behind it. And so there's going to be issues at the back line for Cincinnati. But and Tom, we're going to get into the Lewandowski PK in hour number 2. That is definitely going to be one of the discussions that we have. But yeah, when you look at Atlanta United, right now they're in a playoff spot, and it is all part of the rush that you want to try to get out of the 8-9. You want to get out of the 8-9, try to get into the 7, so you're not in the play-in round and then having to do the quick turn to take on the top seed. You want to get away from the 8-9 as far as humanly possible here, and we're seeing some positive signs from Atlanta United with the young kids going on the road, but schedule compression is far from over. We get into the next round of schedule compression starting Saturday with Toronto. Yay!
Yay! I'm so excited. It was nice having a break of 6 days.
Yeah. God.
I mean, everybody said at the beginning of the year, right? Like you need to stack up the points early because it favors, I think, Atlanta, because you had it seems like a lifetime ago,
Yeah.
but you had Giakoumakis, you had Almada, you had all these, expectations coming in from the offseason. And in the schedule, admittedly, you never know in MLS, but it looked good. It looked relatively favorable for Atlanta.
Yeah.
That hasn't played out that way. But everybody said this was going to be the tough stretch. Well, we've got a whole bunch of wrenches that have been thrown in, and they're still coming out with results. And
Somebody
pretty
took
good.
the workbench and just went like there and dumped it in the driveway.
Just dumped the whole workbench. Yeah. So again, you got to give credit where it's due. Give credit to the coaching staff, give credit to the players, give credit to the young guys, because they have been the standouts over the past couple of weeks. Luke Brennan is playing out of his mind right now. Noah Cobb and Ephra both have been just like steadfast. And I got to throw this out there because 1 year ago, right? Like I feel like Noah and Ephraim, they've gotten credit, and I do see people on Twitter and social media giving them praise, which is great. I don't know that it's been enough. Like, that's my thing. I think we're so quick to look at how bad a player does, right? But then when a player does good for a consistent same amount of time, we don't give them credit as quickly.
Sadly, most of us aren't wired that way these days. It's
I mean, it's human nature.
You want to harp on the negative.
Yeah.
Just because it makes you feel better about yourself in that dynamic.
I guess.
I'm guessing it's like, it's instead of focusing on positive things and drawing us all into a discussion about everything that's cool, you want to sit there and harp on the negative and have all these black clouds hanging over your head. It's like the old Calvin and Hobbes cartoon where Calvin's in a bad mood and he walks up to Susie, and Susie is, the standard of goodness and light that she always is. And because Calvin is in such a bad mood, he turns Susie's good mood into a bad mood. And then the final frame is there's nothing better than, turning somebody into the same mood that you have. I forget, I was paraphrasing, but basically Calvin was happy that he got to turn somebody else's good mood into a shared bad mood, was basically the cartoon that Waterston dropped that day.
Yeah. I mean, misery loves company, right?
Yeah,
and that's how it is.
Yeah.
And Kefsey, I know you're saying we just did it to Tristan, but the thing is, I've been very, very, this is not a word, praiseful. But I'm making it up.
It is.
I've given praise.
Yeah.
To Muyumba. Since he got here. I thought he had a great end of last season, but I do feel like he's been up and down this season. But going back last year, how many people were, super excited about Derek Etienne Jr. coming in, and everybody kept saying, well, he'll get there. He'll get there. He'll get there. Well, now we're at about the time where people started to think, all right, well, he might not get there. And now this is not looking great for this signing. And so, but now you've had Noah Cobb and to a degree, Ephraim Morales, that have come in and just stood on their head multiple times in multiple games. They've been consistent. It's not like they're having one-off games. And we're at that point in the season where, they're starting to get attention from outside as well. Like, it's not just Atlanta fans. I think you see this with other like opposition, folks on social media. They see these players and they have something to say about them. Up in Charleston, Alan Carlton was another one that came on, and the Charleston people were talking about how good this kid was. So, Atlanta's pipeline and the academy, the twos, like, they're doing the job, and they are keeping this team afloat right now when it was supposed to be really difficult.
Yeah. And after Toronto, the beauty of having the calendar, after Toronto, at New England, July 3rd, staying on the road, not coming home, going to Rio Tinto to take on RSL Saturday the 6th, turn around, come back here to the Fraction, Open Cup with Atlanta and Indy on the 9th, traveling to Montreal on the 13th, coming back, and then finally getting a home match with NYC on the 17th, home match with Columbus on the 20th, and then you have 5 days to rest before Leagues Cup on the 26th starting. And that is your schedule compression. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches in the month of July in an 18-day period, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22, so 7 matches in 22 days in multiple competitions. Do I have that right?
That sounds right. Yep.
2, 4, 6, 7. 7 and 22 to get you to Leagues Cup. Yay!
Awesome.
You're not soundproof. I'm hearing an animal.
Do you hear that? Ooh, that bothers me. Okay, I'm gonna have to add some more foam in here.
Okay, well, and I think you've got to add it behind you. It's like you pad the scarves and things like that. But yeah, I heard the dog barking. So.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to go get on my dog now. She's ruining my show.
No,
No,
not ruining the show.
no. Maybe I'll invite her in one day, and she can
yeah.
say howdy.
Because the rowdy dog is down here, and he's
There you
guarding
go.
what's going on.
Somebody must ring the doorbell.
Yes, he's the same way. Hour number 2 here on Soccer's Morning Show on the SDH Network, and Tyler Pilgrim from Scarves and Spikes joining us. And the fourth held up the light board, and we basically told him to go screw. And we haven't even talked Copa. We haven't talked Euros. I mean, what else is on your mind before you actually go and have something involving civilization today?
The Argentina match at the Benz was a madhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that
the Argentina match yesterday at the Meadowlands.
Yeah. Oh, chilly.
Mm-hmm.
So close. So close.
God, Claudio Bravo, who's like 700 years old.
Yep. Doing his best.
Well, and if you listen to the national media, apparently the environment at the Meadowlands was a better environment than it was at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, you're every time I come on here, you're just stirring the pot. No, screw them. But we were there at Mercedes-Benz. That place was off the chain. I wasn't up there at the place that they like to consider New York, but it's actually not. So I'm just saying you can't even figure out who you want to be. So don't talk to me about atmospheres. At least we know what city we're in and state. So no, look, the thing is Copa America, all of these stadiums should be some of the biggest vibes that you've ever had. If not, what are we doing? Like this is like the appetizer for the World Cup. So they need to be all big. They need to be bringing in, tons and tons of folks, attendance, everything else. And I understand the ticket prices. That's a point of contention for sure.
Jimmy Bushnell made that point on Yahoo. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it's fun. It's fun. Enjoy it. Take advantage of it while it's here. Go men's national team, but Argentina, stop complaining about the grass. Y'all can get out of here with that crap. It bothers me. It really, really bothers me. So.
Well, I mean, the grass at Mercedes-Benz looked a lot better than it did in a lot of the other venues where you've had grass.
Yes, it did.
You got no complaints from and legitimately I will say this, and this is just from physical appearance. The grass for She Believes looked a lot worse than the grass for Copa. And it looked like it wasn't handling water very well during She Believes. I mean, it was on the edges and it was just outside the field of play. So it wasn't necessarily affecting play, but there were some brown patches on the outer edges for She Believes. You saw none of that at Mercedes-Benz. It looked like it was mean, green, and clean. And there was nothing to worry about there. You didn't see stuff like DC where you'd have chunks popping up all over the place. You saw none of that. And apparently this is the same surface, I think, tomorrow that was there for match number 1. So we'll see how well it has been maintained over time. This is a big one, U.S. men's national team in Panama. What are you anticipating in this one other than hopefully a very loud sellout crowd to yell at Panama for 90 minutes?
The U.S. should win the game. I think, you had Bolivia was, I mean, again, you should have won that game. Panama, I would argue, is going to be tougher, but you should win. And I think home field advantage is definitely a big thing when it comes to Copa America right now, because, I mean, look at the Colombia match, how yellow it was. Was it Houston where they played?
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely some teams that are bigger than others, right? But this is the U.S. I understand that when it's against Mexico, especially at certain stadiums, can feel like the home field advantage. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have that problem against Panama. You're going to have the crowd behind you. You're going to have a lot of momentum behind you, right? And you should come away now being at the end of tomorrow 6 points in the group. So, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is a historic moment, right? It's been so long since the men's national team played here, and they've never played at the Benz. So I hope everybody takes a minute to just take it all in. Obviously, hope for a win, but this is going to be, again, very similar to what it's going to feel like in a couple of years when the World Cup shows up.
Yep. And the thanks to Tom Russo for letting us know that press box, that's the link to follow. And so basically, Tom saw that picture.
Yeah.
A hot dog in the media lounge at SoFi, and I'm staring at the picture.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Copa Media lunch. Hot dog served with a side of potato wedges and a cookie. $25. Or you could have crispy chicken tenders served with a side of potato wedges and a cookie for $25.
I guess these are cooked by Gordon Ramsay, apparently.
Or you could have the Southwestern salad, romaine, black beans, corn, tomatoes, green onions, tortilla chips with a side of chipotle dressing, chips, and a cookie for $25. That's at SoFi, man.
I'm just saying, there's one stadium out there that's just feeding the people that are there covering the team. Thank you, Arthur Blank. I appreciate it.
It's we.
That's embarrassing, honestly.
We are blessed, brother. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but that is embarrassing, though. Like, look, that's a whole different topic. Like stadium concession prices. Obviously, we are very spoiled in Atlanta. Grateful for it, for sure. But like, dude, $25 for a freaking hot dog. Get out of here with that crap. Like, get out. I would much rather you just give me the worst meal imaginable, right? Like, just give me something that's, even if I got to pay a little bit for it, but I'm not going to work, right? Quotes, air quotes, going to work and then paying $25 for a hot dog. I'll eat on the way in, man. I'm sorry. That's so stupid. That bothers me.
Well,
it bothers me. It's inhospitable.
Well, and I mean, legitimately, how many of us in media can afford a $25 media meal?
Right. Like, I don't work for MLS, guys. Sorry, but I'm not getting paid to go out and force myself to spend $25 on what probably is a 50-cent hot dog.
I mean, the profit, the profit and the P&L margin on that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yep, I was offended when I saw that.
This is the first time I have seen this. But yeah, if anybody thinks that those of us in the industry can afford a $25 hot dog or a $25 crispy chicken tenders cardboard pseudo plate, whatever.
It's like that lunch that you get back in like middle and high school that was like the sheet, like the 5x3 sheet of pizza that was partially made, like 45% out of cardboard, and then you're charging $25 for it. That's ridiculous.
Oh man,
I disapprove.
Yeah, disapprove. Absolutely disapprove. But now that we have kept you for entirely too long, what is and Tom, see, like I said, Tom goes, why is media being charged for food in the first place? That's a question for CONMEBOL, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I never want to just go in anywhere and expect that they're going to feed me, right? Like I guess I'm just not that kind of person, but also like the question is there, even if you're charging, why are you charging $25 though? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot. Not everywhere is going to have the facilities like the Benz or the money like the Benz to just give great food. I get it. But also don't be jerks about it. Like $25, man, for a hot dog. Come on.
You're paying LA City prices anyway to go cover an event at SoFi.
Right.
And it's not just one match. It's a handful of matches there. It's a handful of Allegiant. You're not just having to pay this once. You're having to pay LA prices more than once. And if you're a member of the media who literally, I mean, there are a lot of us that, in our younger days would live on the media meal and would just go cover things just so we could eat. And I mean, legitimately, at SoFi for the Copa Media Lunch to have 3 options all at $25 when you're already spending a boatload of money to go cover the event in Los Angeles and paying LA prices and then having to pay LA prices to eat. I mean, I know that we as members of the media seem like we kvetch about things that we shouldn't, and there are a lot of things that we shouldn't kvetch about in the media. But a $25 media meal, that's out of hand.
Yeah, that's over the top.
Out of blanking
Over
hand.
the top. And that's the thing. If you're going there every match, right? I forget how many there are at SoFi, but I mean, you're looking at maybe if you were to go and buy a meal every time you were there just to eat, you should be smarter with your money, first of all. But that's like $100 if over the course of the entire tournament, I think, if I got my numbers right.
If it's 4 matches, it's $100.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And unless you can write it off, then you're going to In-N-Out, and there's anything wrong with not going to In-N-Out, but I'm saying you're going to In-N-Out instead of dropping 25 on the media meal. But if you're there at SoFi all day, then you ain't got no choice but to eat there, because I don't think really there aren't a whole lot of restaurants in and around SoFi out by the airport anyway, because SoFi takes up all the space. Now that we've gone down that road, what's going on at Scarves and Spikes?
So we obviously have our show tonight. This is not official, so I'm not may have Kevin Egan on tonight.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's a good guy. Somebody said he's Irish. I don't know. But yeah, we may have him on tonight. It's not confirmed yet, but it's looking that way. So have him on, and then tomorrow, obviously Copa America, and we'll be back at the Signia Hotel, hanging out for a little bit before the match, starting at 4, kickoffs at 6. We'll get you done by 5. But we're going to have the chief communications officer of U.S. Soccer, Neil Buth, will be there hanging out with us for 20 minutes or so. He's going to just chat U.S. Soccer in Atlanta, men's national team, women's national team, everything U.S. Soccer related. And so it'll be in person up at the Nest on 4 bar in the Signia Hotel right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So
rock on.
Easy walking distance.
Yes. And so Tyler is going to continue to drink his morning beverage out of his Scarves in Spikes mug. Go ahead and plug where they can grab all their gear. There you go.
Yes. Scarvesandspikes.com.
There you go.
That's it. That's got all the links, all the good stuff.
And he's also going to try and find more egg crate, because if we can hear his dog, then apparently Tyler thinks that there's an issue with that.
Yes.
So we will catch up with you soon, my friend. We will see you down at Mercedes-Benz. And I don't know if I've got parking yet, and I don't know if I'm going to get parking, if I'm going to take advantage of it, because considering everything that's going on, I don't know if you can get in, but I don't know if you can get out. That's the problem.
Yeah. At least there's no $25 hot dog.
True. Yes, absolutely true. And AMBSE needs to get as many hats tipped on that as humanly possible. Be safe, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. That's Tyler. He's constructing things. And Mazel Tov and getting into the new house, by the way. And the office. The fact that he is in a hermetically sealed booth, or almost hermetically sealed, because if we can hear dogs, it's not quite hermetically sealed. But congratulations on moving into the new house. He's got his own room, and the dog is going to want to sit there and be through all of it. Tom, to answer your question, we did not. In the old media and staff cafeteria at the TED, we did not. I mean, of course, it wasn't like, the food that we get on a daily basis, thanks to AMBSE at MBS. But no, I mean, literally, it was like hot dogs and burgers. And then one of the big things when you were at the TED, you got and going back to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, is that you had to have the lemonade, and it was all of that stuff. And because it was just like, it was bar food, but it was free. And then I also remember when you would go cover games, you'd cover Braves games, when the interns would bring the ice cream down the lines in the 7th inning. They wouldn't have the ice cream. They wouldn't have the ice cream in like a cooler where you could go and get it ahead of time. But 7th inning, covering a Braves game, you would get the interns, and they would have the trays of the ice cream bars and everything. You take one, and then you pass the tray down, and everybody would get a dessert. God rest his soul, Bill Conlon, Philadelphia Papers. he was on sports reporters for the longest time on the Four Letter Network. And when he would come and cover Phillies games, and he would see the tray come down from the intern, I think what he would traditionally try to do is he would position himself at the edge of the row, so he'd be the first person to get the ice cream. But like I said, God rest his soul. When he would come and grab the tray, literally he had this look on his face like, it's the tray, it's all mine. And the fear that was in the intern's face when the tray would go to Bill Conlon, and it looked like Conlon was going to take. It's like, I don't know what y'all are having, but this is mine. Conlon was a rotund sort, easily 3 spins on the Toledos. But yeah, literally, he would position himself to where he would take the tray, and he literally, if anybody else down his road got ice cream, they were lucky. Conlon would sit there and he would just stare at the tray and choose and figure out which one he wanted, and it would end up being which ones he would get. So if you sat down the same row as Conlon, you were lucky to get an ice cream bar. But he just, if I remember correctly, he was a fan of the strawberry shortcake popsicle. So those were the ones that he would get. But yeah, seeing the look on his face, just the joy when the tray would get there, and the fear in the Braves intern and handing it to him, that is one of the memories that I will always have when it comes to the media meals that you would get when you were covering the Atlanta Braves. But yeah, we didn't have to pay. Didn't have to pay then, but like I said, it was bar food. It wasn't like the healthier fare that we have now, plus the Carvel machine. And I know that we all make jokes about the Carvel machine breaking down, but having Carvel ice cream in a press box with all of the accoutrement that's attached to it, it's amazing. What AMBSE does to take care of everybody, to set an example for everyone, it's fantastic. To see $25 for a media meal, a media lunch, doesn't even say dinner. So in theory, if you're there and you get the media lunch and you've got to come back for a match later in the day, you're dropping 50 bones on 2 meals at SoFi. And there was a salad bar. Yeah, for those, a salad bar. And then you had like the ham squares and things like that, and the artificial cheese. Yeah. But AMBSE takes care of their own. You wander into the door, it is Southern hospitality. Literally. They set an example for everybody else. And for those of us that come in and wander in and get to see it on a daily basis, I don't think that we get to say how appreciative we are enough. But they're studs. Mercedes-Benz and AMBSE, they are a bunch of studs. They do it right, and it's Southern hospitality when you walk in the door. They set an example for everybody else. Hour number 2, man. Like I said, it's a Wall Pass Wednesday, and we go drifting all over the place. No real surprise. So let's see. Morning, Michael. Morning, Alex. Morning, Kefsey. Morning, Tom. Morning, Ricky. And we'll get into England. Morning, Tommy. And Tommy got in just before Tyler came in. Morning, Abby. Morning, Hutch. Hutch says we are now Atlanta Unbundled FC. And let's see. Morning, Michael. Ran into Michael yesterday, and ran into Michael, the boss, and their puppo. And let's see. So Kefsey, Hutch, Ricky, Michael, Tom. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that got added in. Morning, Alex. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Morning, Abby. And Kefsey and Tom. And yeah, okay. So here we go with the food prices. Okay, so Michael, $7 for fries only at City Park in St. Louis. Yeah, Abby taken a little aback by the comments last night regarding the atmosphere. I don't know if those individuals who were saying anything were actually there or were actually listening. But I hate to break it to any individual that said the atmosphere last night was unreal. I mean, it was an unreal atmosphere. And when we were in the press box, just to kind of let everybody know It's now that it's an open air press box, you get to feel it that much more. And it was 70,500 and change, and it was crazy loud. And you can ask Maddie and Jason this. Literally, I just started getting a case of the giggles every single time that the Argentina fans would start chanting, and you just the noise level gets raised to a certain point. And to have that kind of atmosphere in that building with that kind of event and everything that's attached to it, when you have 60,000 Argentina fans in a building out of the 70,000 that were there, and the Canadian fans that were in the 300 level that were loud, and I don't know if they had a voice for 3 days after the fact, but it was unbelievable, that kind of atmosphere. And I will challenge anyone that says an open air atmosphere like at the Meadowlands was better than what you had indoors at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I will challenge you on that openly. Abby, 10,000 more people, but the atmosphere at the Benz was amazing. True, not a whole lot of Canadian fans, more Chilean fans last night. Abby, in St. Louis this past weekend, so you missed the MBS pricing when getting food. And yeah, Tom, why is media being charged for food in the first place? I know. Abby, although I will say St. Louis had a wider variety of food choices in their stadium, even though only on one level. Yes, I think that St. Louis needs a fan strike on food and beer prices. But Michael did admit, and he said, yeah, by the way, really liked City Park. Close to field seating, great grass field, full roof over the seats. I still think that they didn't pack enough. I don't think they put enough in the capacity. How can baseball stadium allow food to come in and football does not? I don't know. That's a good question. It might be just a venue by venue thing. Abby, public service announcement. Those going to the Outlaws Atlanta tailgate starts at 12. March starts at 5. Gates open at 4. So 12, 5, and 4. Those are your notes. Yeah, the ref of Chile, Argentina last night. Yeah, he wasn't taking nothing. Yeah, Alex, it was John Strong. And I will specifically, and he was at Mercedes-Benz. He was there for Argentina, and he was there for Argentina, Canada. And also making comments about the turf and sitting there at the turf at the grass that was put in at MetLife. Oh, yeah, oh. But obviously the world has gone to hell at Mercedes-Benz. So, yeah. Alex went ahead and said who it was. Wiley agrees it's a nice stadium, meaning City Park. Also agree they should have built it bigger. Supporter section did have a chant for when the sun went down as it was blazing in our faces and really unpleasant. Yeah. Yeah, that's where we are. Euros and Copa. Yesterday, Claudio Bravo was unbelievable. And it was one of those moments where you win man of the match, kind of like Luka Modric did in the Euros, where you do all of this stuff and your team loses. You know, Connor McDavid wins the Conn Smythe in the Stanley Cup. He's not there to pick it up. His dad still takes the picture, though. You had that atmosphere, and Chile and Argentina, they're just beating the daylights out of each other for 90 minutes. And it took the third corner in a row for Argentina to finally get the ball past Claudio Bravo. Yes, why Peru didn't get 2 reds is unclear. We'll get into that in a sec, Kevsey. Abby said they had to wait until the sun went down before going to the seats, and no one sat down. Awful for the little kid in our row. For me, who's had too many surgeries, can't stand a whole match, and hubby's got a bad hip. Any Elder fans? The sunset chant was golden and sung at full song. That's cool. So Argentina advances. They get another 3 points. I think they won the group. The other match on the day was Canada and Peru. And the Peruvian manager, Fossati, you know, when he was prepared for the whole run by saying that we saw their match against Argentina, meaning Canada, and if we have to fight with our fists, we fight with our fists. I was paraphrasing, but he did use those terms. And you wonder, well, I mean, you kind of do, but you kind of don't. The headbutt on Alistair Johnston that really should have been a red. I mean, literally, Johnston's woofing, and he's coming up the touchline, and the Peruvian player wanders over to him, leans into him, and gives him a headbutt. I mean, legit. I mean, in slow-mo, it looked like a bit of a love tap, but that's what slow-mo is for. And because of that, it goes to VAR. VAR's like, nah, we're cool. And the Peruvian player just kind of gets a talking to. Literally, you see the center ref put his hand on the Peruvian player and go, like, bruh, don't do that. This is your warning. You're not supposed to do that. To be perfectly honest, in a situation like that, I mean, welcome to CONMEBOL. That's the only thing I can tell you. For those of you who have seen any kind of a CONMEBOL tournament, anything involving national teams, Chile and Argentina sharing a 4,000-mile border. You get that kind of competition in these tournaments. When the head coach for Peru, who, by the way, was 3 buttons down on a white dress shirt and had gold chains that made him look like B.A. Baracus from the A-Team, and I mean that in the most highly complimentary way possible, he did not give one ish about what anybody thought about his fashion choices, and good on you. But it should have been red. And then you finally do get the red on the tackle on Schaffelberger. You go studs in, that's a red. 15 minutes later, Canada scores their first ever goal in the Copa, get their win, stave off any kind of elimination, probably heading to the knockout. But I think one of the bigger heroes in the yesterday was Maxime Crépeau coming to the aid of the AR, who had collapsed because of heat stroke. All indications are out of Kansas City is that the gentleman is in stable condition. But Maxime Crépeau coming to the immediate aid of the AR, who was on the sunny side at Children's Mercy Park, and that's hell. I mean, literally, it was in the 90s, matching humidity, gave it a field temp of 101. And you're running your ass off up and down the sideline in the sun, I understand why your body gave out. But Maxime Crépeau gets full credit from a humanitarian standpoint. He was my MVP of the day, making sure that everything was okay with the AR, that he got treated, and that everything was okay with that AR. Like I said, he is now listed stable in a hospital in Kansas City. But yeah, Maxime Crépeau, you get full credit for what you did yesterday. On the field, Maxime Crépeau continues to get full credit for just being insane between the sticks and keeping Canada in it and making a lot of saves. But that was yesterday. And so that brings us into today in the Copa. And we'll get into the juice boxes here and let you know what's going on when it comes to the Copa on the day. Let me see where they've listed. Okay, so they actually do list it as a South American juice box event. Today it's Ecuador and Jamaica, and I think this one's at Allegiant in Las Vegas. And what we've seen also from CONMEBOL, and Doug Robertson of the AJC alluded to this earlier in the week, especially it was during the match at Mercedes-Benz with Argentina and Canada. CONMEBOL, if you notice the fields themselves, and yesterday you really could look at it with the lines for Sporting Kansas City and how they were drawn over, painted green, whatever you want to do. The fields in Copa America have been squished. I think they've gone from 75 to 70. So they are smaller. And I did notice this at Mercedes-Benz. They are shorter from end to end, and they've been squished. And I'm guessing they do that just to make things more exciting or whatever. I think it's like 110 by 70, I think is what you're staring at instead of 115 by 75. So, yeah, the fields are smaller, less surface area, more chaos, and you've seen that. But you did get to see that yesterday. If it was looking kind of weird to you in person, you get to see the lines as they were drawn in Kansas City, and you see how things were squished in. So you are dealing with less surface area. You're going to see that today at Allegiant, and you won't have to worry about what we've seen in the past for exhibitions and Gold Cup and stuff, where you wonder if the field is, in fact, quote, regulation, end quote. It is for CONMEBOL today. Ecuador, heavy on the minus side at a minus 189. Draws a plus 298. Jamaica's a plus 589. Then at SoFi tonight, where members of the media might have to pay for the media dinner, in addition to perhaps a media lunch, Venezuela, vamos Venezuela, and Mexico. Mexico's a plus 114, draws a plus 222, and Venezuela is a plus 270. No word on Edson Alvarez. No word on Edson Alvarez at all. And Alvarez, it looked like he was something serious had happened. They were saying that it was a muscle injury, but when you are as emotional as he was leaving the pitch and getting help from two physios to get off the surface, I think it was a little more than just a muscle injury, but we'll see. Like I said, no word yet on Edson Alvarez and how that will impact the attack for Mexico coming into this match tonight with Venezuela as the nightcap. So 6 and 9, it is your Copa activity. Yesterday in the Euro, we had our bit of chaos. I mean, legit chaos. It was just crazy yesterday. You've got the last day of group stage today. Yesterday, Group D was all over the board. Denmark and Serbia goalless draw to plus 225. England and Slovenia to plus 434. If you had goalless draw or if you had draw period, good on you. Obviously, there's a lot of gnashing of teeth and twiddling of fingers and trying to figure out what's going on. Our friend Poppy Miller on Morning Footy on Golasso Network is looking at this side and thinks that Gareth Southgate is basically being run over by the media and by perceptions and all this kind of stuff. She wants a Jose Mourinho type to take over, to be able to challenge the media and, challenge the players. And for her, it was also uncharacteristic to see someone like Phil Foden not being the Phil Foden that we're used to seeing with Manchester City. So before you tune into us in the morning, maybe tune into Morning Footy when you get to see our friend Poppy Miller. And we're going to try and catch up with Poppy when she's not morning footying. We can catch up with her about her beloved England and find out what's going on. But Poppy wants a Jose Mourinho type to take over as the next manager for Gareth Southgate. She has been one who has shown concern, hand to chin, gnashing of teeth, etc. So England at a plus 434. France and Poland, they drew at 1-1. We'll get into the Lewandowski PK coming up here in just a bit. Austria and the Netherlands. You want chaos? That was chaos. Ralph Rangnick, not quite full-blown Nick Galifi press. It was maybe lowercase. But the craziest match of the day, Austria over the Netherlands 3-2. So that sets up the standings in those two groups, where you end up with England winning Group C, Denmark finishing second, Slovenia third, probably getting in on goal difference, dead even. They've only scored 2 goals, though. We got to keep an eye on that. Serbia going home. Group D, Poland going home. And so that means that Bartosz Slisz, the newly married Bartosz Slisz, will be working his way back toward this particular part of the planet and helping out Atlanta United. Not this weekend, probably in Boston. Sorry, Foxborough. And in Real Salt Lake. Austria wins Group D with the chaos that was going on. France finished second. The Netherlands is third. They have scored more goals and have 4 points. Poland goes home with only 1 point with the 1 draw and the 2 losses. Going into today in Group E, everybody's got 3 points. Romania, Belgium, Slovakia, Ukraine. That's currently where things stand. Romania and Belgium are 1 and 2 because of goal difference. And then you've got to go to the next tiebreaker, goals scored, and that's why Romania right now is top of group. So if you have a viewing choice today, watch Group E. Goal difference of 0 is Slovakia. Goal difference of -2 is Ukraine. So today it is Ukraine and Belgium, Romania, and Slovakia. We'll get into juice boxes in a bit. Group F, Portugal, they've won the group. Turkey right now is in second place with 3 points. Czech Republic and Georgia, they got some work to do. Czechia is playing Turkey. And Georgia, there's a great write-up on them in The Guardian, I want to say. And it's a really cool write-up on Georgia, the lowest-ranked team to make it into the tournament at number 74. And they feel like they're playing with house money. We know what we got to do. Who's to say that it can't be done? Does Portugal rotate? Georgia wins. Then all the pressure is put on Turkey and Czechia to try to figure out what to do from there. That forces Turkey, who's right now at -1 in goal difference, to score some goals and get a margin of victory against Czechia. For all intents and purposes, Turkey and Czechia has got to be an elimination game of several different levels. Third place teams right now: Netherlands, Slovenia, Slovakia with a match in hand. Hungary. Netherlands at 4 points. They're the only one with 4. Slovakia, if they get a draw, they would get to 4 points. Slovenia right now, even on goal difference, even on goals scored with Slovakia. Hungary at 3 points, goal difference of -3. Croatia's at 2 points. For all intents and purposes, they're out, and Czechia is at 1 point. They've got to win and maybe get some help. So that's what you're staring at with the Euros. Today, the juice boxes that are attached to the Euros. Slovakia favored at a +210. Draws a +119. Romania is a +284. Ukraine, a big underdog, going up against Belgium at a -152. Draws north of +300. Ukraine itself to win is +440. Your 3 o'clocks, Czechia and Turkey, the juice boxers threw a blanket over all of it. 168 for Czechia. Turkey is a +172. Your draws a +235. Georgia to win against Portugal is a +952 in the composite. Portugal is a -323, and your draw is a +459. We do know 2 of the matchups in the knockout: Switzerland and Italy. Italy favored, Germany big favorite going up against Denmark. So with all of the chaos that happened yesterday, a lot of folks said France and Germany, they might be meeting a lot sooner than the end of it all. But that's where we are when it comes to all of this stuff and the Euros. Abby was in the 11th row downstairs. Only the front row was sitting. Yeah, Katie, that group is nuts. She needs Kornacki to break down the math. Maybe we can get if Peacock had done the Euros, then you could get Kornacki and his khakis to break it all down. Which brings us to this moment that happened yesterday. And I don't know how it ended up being what it was. This is courtesy of our friends at Fox Soccer and UEFA. And it's our buddy Robert Lewandowski and how he did what he did. This is how it was called on Big FOX and FS1.
It's Robert Lewandowski. And it's saved brilliantly by Mania. Wonderful save by the French goalkeeper. Well, they're going to check now whether the goalkeeper moved on his line.
Well, Lewandowski pointed straight away. He said he was off his line.
I think this is going to be a retake, Owen. Oh, my word, what drama. Let's have a look. He's off his line. You have to have 1 foot over the line, otherwise the penalty's retaken.
Well, he did this gamesmanship before.
So take 2, Lewandowski against Mania. For the leadership of Group D, Austria holds its breath. France holds its breath. Here comes the Polish captain. Same run-up. Oh, it's in this time off the post. It's 1-1. At the top level of international sport, the margins are so fine.
Just nestles that into that bottom corner. See no chance.
Brilliant penalty.
I still can't believe that run-up. Don't know how he does it, honestly.
What about the courage to put it the same side?
Amazing. Looks like he was going to change his mind halfway through the run-up. That takes some composure, honestly.
Well, Group D has changed again. Kunde.
So there you go. That was the Robert Lewandowski moment that has driven people nuts. I'll get into what Jessica Charman said, a part of the DK Union. Abby with a public service announcement. Dax is at Men in Blazers tonight at Fido. So it's Man in Blazer and Dax McCarty at Fido tonight at 7:45. So Robert Lewandowski with his stutter step. And like I said, I'll get into Jessica Charman's comments here coming up in just a bit. Apparently, it's okay. Is a stutter step allowed? Kyle Bond went into this at the Sporting News. In the official IFAB laws of the game, and maybe when Bart comes in on the lead on Friday morning, we'll get into this as well. In the laws of the game, there is significant room, and this is Kyle Bond's words, significant room to allow a penalty taker to stop and start their run-up multiple times before striking the ball. The only restriction is one clear guideline, quote, feinting to kick the ball once the kicker has completed the run-up. Feinting in the run-up is permitted. Feinting is defined simply as, quote, an action which attempts to confuse an opponent. Bond continues, therefore, as long as the penalty taker does not take a deliberate action to fake kick the ball at the end of his run-up, he may do anything prior to that in an attempt to confuse the goalkeeper. Thus, stutter step run-ups are allowed in essentially every capacity as the rules are written. Remember, keeper can't leave the goal mouth in any capacity. Defending keeper must remain on the goal line facing the kicker between the goalposts until the ball is kicked. The goalkeeper must not behave in a way that unfairly distracts the kicker, e.g. delay the taking of the kicker, touch the goalpost, crossbar, or goal net. Continues to describe exactly where they must stand when the ball is kicked. The defending goalkeeper must have at least part of 1 foot touching in line with or behind the goal line. And he was given the retake because Mikey Magnon did not have a foot on the goal line, because with the feinting that was going on in the stutter steps, Magnon took one large step with his left and then came forward with the right, and it was off the goal line. And that's why you'll see keepers start from behind the goal line, and in their charge forward, that means that step will have a foot on the goal line itself as a part of their defense mechanism. So Magnon took that step away. And so you got the retake. Lewandowski goes the same direction. Magnon had a hand on it, didn't save it. It goes in the net for the 1-1, eventual 1-1 draw. Mark Clattenburg referred to the law as unfair in its current format. Darren Fletcher, Owen Hargreaves were calling that those were the voices that you heard from Fox. Clattenburg tells Fletch, quote, the goalkeeper has come off his line when the strike happened, but what I don't like is with that run up and the stuttering of it, even though it's allowed because it doesn't stutter at the addressing of the ball, once he does that, the keeper has got to come off his line. Clattenburg, quote, I just feel it's unfair once they do the stutter and the goalkeeper comes off his line. It seems unfair, but the law says once the goalkeeper is off the line, it has to be disallowed and retaken. IFAB considers rewrites to the laws of the game each March and have therefore already codified the laws of the game for 24-25, but it could be given consideration for 25-26 if raised at the next IFAB gathering. So from Jessica's point of view, and Jess, when she saw this, she had issues with it. Completely and totally had issues with it. And she starts it off by saying that stutter steps are dumb. Not wrong. And so then she says, what do you expect from the goalkeeper when you stutter step for that long? Jess is not a fan. Next time we have her on the show, we'll talk about it. Penalties are hard enough for goalkeepers. If you're going to enforce such strict rules on them, limit the stutter step. Hashtag GK Union. So, yeah, Jess on her 280 character app made a point to say that she was not a fan of Robert Lewandowski and his approach and the stutter step in general in taking penalties. But Lewandowski got the redo because Mikey Magnon, his right foot came off the goal line. So in turn, it gave him a second chance, puts it in 1-1 draw eventually by the time they were done. So you had that kind of fun going on yesterday. And there were folks who were calling Lewandowski out for the actual penalties that he was taking, form, what have you. And literally, as someone who has scored over 600 goals in his career, the thought pattern with Lewandowski is truly to force the keeper to jump early, not to score. And so, obviously, a lot of fans watched Lewandowski do what he did yesterday. And IFAB cannot address this in any way, stutter step, what have you, feinting, what constitutes feinting, leaning back, stopping, starting, all that kind of stuff. You can do whatever you want. It's almost like the golf swing, where there were golfers in the 90s that, would treat it like a hockey, they'd treat it like a slap shot in hockey. You would see the golf swing. Everybody's golf swing is different. One dude's golf swing literally was like a slap shot. Didn't bring it over his shoulder, treated it like a slap shot, low to the ground, won a major. Jim Furyk, he's got a long backswing, but he could have a sandwich at the top of his backswing, and he'd hold it there. You could probably count to like 12, and then he brings it through, and he finishes, and he hits it straight down the middle of the fairway. Everyone's approach is different. Lewandowski's approach believes in feinting and stutter steps and trying to do whatever he can in that run-up to have the keeper focus on all of the eye candy and get distracted by that and try to figure out where Lewandowski is going to go. And I think that we have probably talked ourselves into a segment with Jess as a part of her next visit when it comes to analyzing penalty kicks and how you defend against them. What are you staring at? Are you staring at feet? Are you staring at the waist? Are you staring at the player? Are you trying to go from the eyes to try to draw their attention to the feet to try to figure out, or the hips and figure out what direction they're going? I think probably the next time Jess is on, we get into the anatomy of a penalty kick and defending it from the GK Union side of things. But yes, Jess is not a fan of Robert Lewandowski. Understandably so, considering he drew the ire of a lot of folks yesterday. Feinting would be a distraction. David, Jim Furyk, slowest golfer ever. Hated when his group went through our tour championship. I've triggered David. Wiley looked at the plant foot. The ball usually goes where that toe is pointing. Correct. And that's Nick Raimondo. By the way, Garth Lagerwey probably would be someone to ask about these kinds of things too. But Nick Raimondo was one of the best in the business at saving penalties. And when he retired, he finally gave an interview, and it was to The Athletic at the time when they were The Athletic. he gave an interview that broke down his style when it came to defending penalty kicks. But yeah, you're looking at that. For me, I'm looking at that plant foot, much like a place kicker in American football, because when you see where that plant foot goes, that's where the ball's going. And so literally that's what I'm looking at. When place kickers, I'm looking at plant feet. It's like, why did it get pushed? Where's the plant foot? Wiley's spot on, at least with me when it comes to analysis. I'm looking at plant foot. Where's that plant foot going? There are times when you can see the great goal scorers where they will have their plant foot doing one thing, and then the rest of the body they have contorted to do something else. Open the hips back up, hit it with the side of the foot instead of the flush part of whatever foot you're striking it with. Those kinds of things. But yeah, my lead indicator is plant foot and direction. That when that foot is planted, what direction it goes. But yeah, Lewandowski drove people crazy yesterday. Understandably so. And so we got to see that in full force yesterday. Ben Jacobs with news on the Euros. Phil Foden has temporarily left the England camp, returned to the UK for a pressing family matter. FA spokesperson confirms. So Phil Foden has left camp and has returned home to the UK. So we'll keep an eye on that when it comes to everything involving the match day threes and seeing what's going on there. So we'll keep an eye on all of that as we continue to go forward. Henry Bushnell has an update on that AR that collapsed in Kansas City yesterday. Stable, discharged from a local healthcare center. Okay, so and CONMEBOL also confirmed that he suffered from dehydration. No surprise. Absolutely no surprise at all. But great to hear that he has been discharged from the local healthcare facility, hospital, however you want to phrase it. But yes, so great to see that when it comes to what happened yesterday with that particular AR. So very, very cool that is a part of everything that has been going on here with crazy conditions and all this kind of stuff. So, you wonder why stuff's in domes in climate controlled facilities in the summer months here in the United States for most of the time, for 75% of the matches. That's why. You have days like that where you're reminded that to be an AR in this business, to be an athlete in that business, to be in that kind of an environment, to be a center ref in that bit, you've got to be so physically fit. You've got to take care of yourself and take care of your body, and you still have events like what happened yesterday. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, great to see that he is out of the facility and that he did suffer from dehydration. Like I said, not necessarily a surprise, but great to see all of that. I know that there was another article by Henry Bushnell that was brought out on Yahoo Sports about capacity and attendance so far with the Copa. And yeah, absolutely, Abby, being fit in the heat and that occurred can happen to anybody. Bushnell went into the numbers, and this is yesterday before the two matches where you had the sellout in New Jersey and the facility, the crowd that was in Kansas City in those conditions. And yes, 48 hours in advance, absolutely. So Bushnell made a point to try and break down the reasons that you had only a slight increase in attendance average in the Copa than you do in other places. And he went through the numbers. Through 8 matches comparing the Euro and the Copa. 8 matches in the Copa averaged 51.5. Euro average through 28, 50,990. And so Bushnell went into the idea of attacking why there were so many empty seats. 71% of listed stadium capacities thus far, only 64% through the first 6 games. More seats, more empty ones, according to Bushnell. 28 group games through only the first round. The Euros were at 53-158. Simultaneous tournaments looking different, according to Bushnell. 97% of the seats filled at the Euros. Average price of a Copa ticket, according to multiple estimates, has been over $200. Cheapest seats at many Copa matches cost more than $100. 300 level at Mercedes-Benz tomorrow is $100. Lower bowl tickets still available for Argentina-Chile at MetLife all were over $500. Dynamic pricing is what is going on apparently for the Copa. Prices move on demand. Sellers and event organizers can maximize profits. At the Euros, prices are fixed. Group stage tickets range from $32 to $215. Prime seats €400. The range rises from 50 to 60 euro to 250 to 300 for the quarterfinals and so on. UEFA said they got 20 million ticket requests for the Euros. Demand overwhelms supply. That way you keep goodwill. According to Bushnell, critics say this is what various U.S. soccer entities fail to understand. They see ticket sales primarily and sometimes solely through the lens of revenue. Apparently see little difference between selling 30,000 tickets at 200 and selling 60,000 tickets at 100, despite the medium and long-term benefits of the latter. More people in the building, millions watching on TV, all of that kind of stuff. Abby says her 200 level tickets for tomorrow were $185 with fees. That's another part of it, the fees that are attached. CONMEBOL controls all the ticket sales for Copa, like UEFA does for the Euros. This is Bushnell's words. But for the tournament, turned over sales to the stadia and their partners, either Ticketmaster or SeatGeek. And so Ticketmaster and SeatGeek have done dynamic pricing. From the brokers to the stadiums, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, and the U.S. Soccer Federation each get a cut. And then obviously you get to, he goes into the other expenses that are attached, like if you're flying into games and hotels and all this kind of stuff. South Americans have traveled to the Copa. Juan Emilio Roa, CONMEBOL's commercial chief, told Yahoo Sports prior to the tournament around 25% of match-going fans would be foreign. Travel agencies offered all-inclusive packages, including tickets that were exempt from dynamic pricing. Different teams, different countries, different crowds. 37 million Mexican Americans, over 1 million Colombian Americans. Jess's pictures from Houston in that match were amazing. Fewer than 100,000 Uruguayans and Paraguayans here in the States, according to census data. Colombia drew 67,059 in Houston on Monday. Brazil, Costa Rica drew a similar number, 67,158 at SoFi. Argentina sold out Mercedes-Benz. Remember, that was north of 70,000. Venezuela, Ecuador met in Santa Clara. There were a lot of seats. Same for Uruguay and Panama at Hard Rock. I mean, it was a decent crowd. It was over 30,000. More than a whole lot in the upper deck. 53,763 for Mexico and Jamaica. 18,000 shy of capacity at NRG. Folks are wondering about market fatigue as well. Does that happen? So Henry Bushnell tried to yield some answers. I will be interested to continue to see what the numbers are when it comes to capacities, ticket capacities, all that kind of stuff, and what's going to happen as we go. And will the numbers increase? I would imagine the numbers will increase as we get closer and closer out of group stage and into the venues where you're going to have north of 70,000 and the numbers will continue to go. But Bushnell does bring up the interesting point about dynamic pricing and CONMEBOL turning over the process to the ticket brokers, SeatGeek, Ticketmaster, etc. Those that do it for a living. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. We've also got what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Once again, reminder tonight, a little before 7 o'clock, pregame show, Atlanta United 2 and Orlando City B. The Twos are back at it in MLS Next Pro. Had a great conversation with Steve Cook. You'll hear that in the pregame show. Jason will be on the call Kickoff at about 7:03. Pregame show is going to start probably around quarter to 7. You'll get the conversation with Steve Cook, and you'll get lineups and get you ready for everything going on in MLS Next Pro. It's a busy day. There's a 2 o'clock kick in the Eastern Conference, a 6 o'clock kick. You've got a couple of night games, and then there's one out on the West Coast. And then, so that is going to be at our Mixlr site, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com here on the SDH network. And Jason will have the call for that one. I'll have the call on Sunday for Atlanta United 2 and Inter Miami CF 2. Multi-screen experience because you'll have the UPSL final involving Atlanta United. Jason will be on the call for that, so that'll be on YouTube. I'll have the twos and Messi and Friends too, and you've also got everything going on with the Copa on Sunday as well. So very, very busy week for us here on the network. Today's gossip from overseas. Tottenham interested in Crystal Palace's Eberici Eze, could look to activate the release clause in the contract. Brighton keen on Leicester's midfielder Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. Arsenal inquired about signing PSV Eindhoven's forward Johan Bakayoko. Bayern Munich remain interested in João Palhinha, but are well short of Fulham's £60 million valuation. Villa considering a move for Sporting Lisbon winger Pedro Gonçalves. Ipswich in advanced talks with 24-year-old English defender Ben Johnson over a free transfer when his West Ham contract expires next week. Manchester United held talks with Juve about signing Adrien Rabiot, face competition from Arsenal and Villa. Forest and Brighton are interested in Sonia Dahl's 18-year-old winger Edmund Baidu. Ten Hag set to sign a new deal with Manchester United, according to Fabrizio Romano. Four-letter paper says he's going to retain the title of manager despite talk of a head coach role. Barcelona could be interested in the loan deal for Jadon Sancho after holding talks with Manchester United. Leeds midfielder Marc Roca in advanced talks with Real Betis over a permanent after signing for the club on loan last season. Chelsea moving forward with their pursuit of Barcelona striker Marc Guiu, who is 18, triggering his €6 million release clause. They were confident that they could sign him also. Follow Fabrizio Romano for that. West Ham prepared to allow English forward Danny Ings to leave. Southampton registered their interest, so Ings could be returning to Southampton. Spurs have beaten a number of Premier League clubs to the signing of Glentoran striker George Feeney, who is 16, represented Northern Ireland and Wales at the youth level. Hull winger Jaden Philogene has been offered to Barca on loan with the option to buy. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo from overseas. Adam Crafton at The Athletic has said that it appears that while the renovations are going on for Manchester United at their training site, that the men are going to train at the women's site and that the women may be forced to navigate their training and dressing in and dressing out in trailers. Early word from Adam Crafton at The Athletic. Follow him as you should, as one of the tier 1 sources. But it looks like right now, renovations happening with Manchester United. Men's team goes to practice at the women's facility. The women will have to dress out in trailers. And keep an eye on that. Also, Jill Ellis had her comments on Casey Stoney yesterday. Follow at TayVincent6 to follow that story. Still very intriguing as to why the trigger was pulled on Casey Stoney as it was in the NWSL. So we'll keep an eye on that. But today, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, other than the match on the network, it's a little before 7 o'clock tonight with Atlanta United 2 and Orlando City B. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. A lot of everything is involving the Euros and the Copa. Remember, Euros, they are going to be going on simultaneously. Golasso Network, Detroit City, Birmingham Legion, 7 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, USL Championship. Big Fox has Ukraine, Belgium, Georgia, and Portugal. FS1, Slovakia, Romania, Czechia, and Turkey. Copa America, Ecuador, Jamaica, Venezuela, and Mexico on FS1. 2 to NA, doubleheader on FS1. Unimas and Univision. Unimas gets the early match, Ecuador and Jamaica. Univision gets the late match, Venezuela, Mexico. VIX has all 4 matches in the Euro, both at noon, both at 3. It's a lot cheaper than if you were to ever subscribe to Fubo TV. I think Fubo might have one more match in their $80 million package. I think they've only broadcast 4. If they broadcast 5, then they broadcast 5, and we don't have to worry about it. But that's where we are. When I ran into Michael and the Bosch yesterday, they were wondering about possibly just kind of wandering up and getting tickets. Still looking at it. Still not sold out. $69 plus fees right now for a get-in the 300 level. And so we'll see. And if you know folks who have tickets that will be disposing of tickets, hook folks up so we don't have the folks outside with the signs that on one side that says need tickets, and then on the other side says got tickets. Handle it through the SDH folks and handle it through the family if you want to try and go see the United States and Panama tomorrow. So very, very busy day. One other piece of news before we get out of here, and it has to do with our friends at the Marshall Islands. They are officially official. They have their first opponent in the history of their program. And it is in futsal, and it is in July on the island in Majuro in the Marshall Islands. They have their first opponent, first international match, July 22 through 24 on Majuro. It's a futsal series against Micronesia. So as they continue to grow, it'll be indoors. Futsal against Micronesia, July 22nd through 24th. International friendlies, and it's going to be really cool. We're going to catch up with Lloyd Hours, the technical director, as the last country on earth without an international football team gets their first match in futsal. Very, very cool. We're going to catch up with Coach Hours and find out what's going on, and we will see what's going on there. On the islands, July 22, 23, and 24 against Micronesia futsal as things continue to work their way forward for the Marshall Islands. And once again, you can pick up your Marshall Islands scarf here with the network to help out the Federation. If you want Abby to deliver it to you in the Abstermobile, it's $32. If you want to run into me and I can hand them to you, it's $32. If you want it shipped, then it's $32 plus another $5, so $37 by the time that we're done. And we know that a lot of you have picked up the jersey. We know a lot of you have picked up the bucket hat. It's a chance to grab the scarf as well. So $32 plus $5 if you want it shipped to help out the Marshall Islands. They've got their first ever match. It's futsal, and it's July 24th against Micronesia on the island, on the Marshall Islands in Majuro. Keep an eye on it. We'll do a 1v1 with Lloyd Hours and find out what's going on. We'll also catch up in July with Katie Smith, the new women's head national team coach, and find out what it's going to be like for her to build the program in the Marshall Islands. So very, very cool stuff there across the board. Would have to root for Micronesia. Uncle No Pockets is going to have to root for Micronesia. Lived on Guam for 3 years. And Abby posting a note about what a ref gets paid. We can always ask Bart about what it's like on the lower level, and interesting about what a ref gets paid. So Abby is posting a link on Facebook. So back at it again tomorrow, and it will be Nino and Nico in the 10 o'clock hour. Nino Torres from Gold TV, Nico Moreno joining us from Sounder at Heart, Pulso Sports, and the Soccer Bar. Interesting news out of Seattle yesterday, where it looks like Nuhu and Raul Ruiz-Diaz had a bit of a dust-up with Brian Schmetzer. They will not be playing this weekend because of said dust-up. We'll get into that with Nico tomorrow in the 10 o'clock hour. So Nino and Nico, 10 and 10:30 tomorrow. Get you through your Thursday, and we'll talk about everything that happened. Get you ready for U.S. and Panama at Mercedes-Benz. Very, very busy day on Thursday. Packed show on Friday. Bart will be back in to talk about what happened the night before. We'll have Decatur FC. We'll have Jason. We'll have John Mercado. It's going to be all over the place on Friday. But for everybody here at SDH, that's a Wall Pass Wednesday. We went off the walls. No real surprise. See you in a little less than 22. And since it's the end of the show, that means I have to close it this way.